Greetings from Indic Academy. Thank you. I will call you by your given
Namaste.
name, Ganesha. But Andrew, what was your earlier life and before you became Ganesha? What was your journey like?
Uh, so my journey has been very wide, very eclectic. I was born in Washington, D.C., and I was born to my mother, Regina, and my father, Daryl Parker. And I have two brothers, and I'm the middle child. So, whenever I was born there, I didn't spend much of my time there before I moved to West Virginia. My family wanted a fresh new start in a brand new place, and my mom got an amazing job opportunity. So we moved there. But my entire life, I have been um, in this beautiful dance with music. Music has always been my highest love. It's my highest yoga. And so before, I found myself doing so many things. I found myself singing, I found myself dancing. There was a period of time whenever I was, on the monkey bars and I was just swinging back and forth and I fell on my face and I busted my eye. And my dad took that as, oh, you want to learn gymnastics. So at some point I did gymnastics and throughout my earlier life was colored by experiences of just playing with the whole tapestry of life, playing with all of the different colors. And then at some point, one of the first experiences that I had that kind of took me out of that fantasy is actually whenever I had to learn how to walk again. As a just a 13-year-old child, I had begun it was my hips had begun to deteriorate. And it's a long story. I was such a trickster. I was such a jokester. I was such a joker. And so a lot of my friends, family, they didn't believe me. And I started walking around. I was hobbling. And then one day my choir teacher, she brought me these, crutches to school. Or she asked me if I needed them and I brought them. So now I have the crutches. Now the joke is really on. So my aunt, she essentially she hit up my mom, and my parents were just like, well, maybe I know he jokes around a lot. I know he's a real crazy guy, but maybe y'all should just go and, get it checked out. And so they did, and I found out that I had what was called skipped femoral ephesis, where my hip had fallen off the joint and it crushed inside of my body, creating um, something else called avascular necrosis, and I had severe scoliosis of the spine. So at a very young age, I had this very crippling experience to where I didn't even, I could barely sit in a wheelchair. That was how, and even throughout the house, I crawled to different places. So, but through that entire experience, I did not lose faith, and I knew that I would walk again. I knew that things were going to work out for my highest good, because ever since I was a young kid, I've always been extremely emotional and intuitive in a.
Sorry, Ganesh, your video is just.
Is that better?
Yes, yes. So sorry, it got interrupted. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, as I was saying, is that I just began to, I knew in my mind that I was going to
Yes.
heal. I knew in my mind that I was just going to walk again. And it's so interesting because a lot of the people around me, as I, remember where, my dad even describes it as being some of the toughest times of his life to see what I went through. But for me, I had this impenetrable optimism. I had a way of being able to anchor myself to anchor myself to what was really good in life versus what was really bad in life. And as a result, through 4 different surgeries and a lot of rehabilitation, I went from being in the bed to being in a wheelchair, from being in a wheelchair to being up on crutches, from being on crutches to being on a cane. And then one day, whenever I was in outpatient services, I said, "Can I just let this go?" And she looks at me and she says, "Go for it." And I just threw the cane down and I started running again. So
Oh.
um, I took that, that's such a beautiful, influential story for me because before I even arrived at the point where by now I am focus on music and sharing my love for Maharaji, um, I had to, at a very young age, I went through an experience that showed me what it was like for everything to be kind of ripped away from you and how you can start again, how lean into you can lean into the aspect of yourself, the higher aspect of yourself, to pull you out of any and every thing. So I did end up going on to rejoining high school, and I went on to finish my bachelor's degree in music. And yeah, so that's been me. I taught music for many years. I have, done work in the community to advance reading and writing. I'm a person who loves, to connect with nature. And yeah, so
So
oh,
beautiful.
yeah,
That's
that's
so amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that aspect is something that Maharaji and Ramdas frequently talk about. The ability to see what's happening in your life like a movie and not actually become a participant. You're able to look at both the pain and the happiness in a very neutral way. Both ways.
Yes, I was actually, throughout my experiences, I've come to understand in a more deep and intimate way about how the experiences that, one has, it really prepares them for the present moment of wherever they are in life. And so the experiences that, the many experiences that I've had in my life, the the consciousness has now shifted from, oh, why me, to it's now shifted to, I am so grateful for this now moment to be at the place where I can share and I can understand how all of these experiences help to show you the oneness of who we are. Because as you go on that deeper
Sorry,
walk,
sorry, just 1 minute. So sorry, my doggy is just started playing. Just 1 minute.
no worries,
So sorry, she started.
no worries.
Yeah, please. Yeah. So how did Maharaj Neem Karoli Baba come into your life?
Oh. So
Hmm.
that is a longer and beautiful story, but I'm happy to tell all of it. And I love telling this story actually. So whenever so back in 2021, I actually no, in 2020 is when I discovered yoga because I had been working out, and whenever COVID happened, I wanted to continue my workout practice. And I tried everything. I tried doing at-home calisthenics and I tried doing, so many different things. And then one day in the living room at my apartment, I found a 20-day yoga for weight loss program or 30-day yoga for weight loss program. So I did that, and I was like the first time I ever did any exercise for 30 days. Then I did 30 days of yoga, strength and conditioning, and then that was the first time I ever done 60 days of, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and so it caught like fire. And I just, to this day, to this moment, yoga has become the thing that I've done the most consistently over the past 5 years. Um, and it's my sacred practice. It's my sadhana. It's my secret. I share it sometimes, but it's really just my, and I do work as a yoga teacher and I have worked. So, but it's really my practice. So, you know, and so
Yeah.
basically I did this yoga competition where we were going to compete for 10 lakh rupees. It was a competition over
Uh,
here in the United States. And I got so far in the competition and then I lost.
yeah.
And then one day I was just, the thought came to me. I was like, oh, I need to go to India, um, regardless, because I was going to use all of that money that I won to
Okay.
go to India to study to do
Hmm.
my formal training. And then it just dawned on me, just hit on me. I just need to go no matter what. So for 2 years, before I went to India, there were so many things that tried to get in my way. Um, there were I couldn't even tell you, it's such a long list, but of things that
Hmm.
tried to stop me. But my mantra became, I don't need backups. I'm going to India.
Mhm.
I'm going to Rishikesh actually.
Hmm.
So I in 2023, now 3 years go by. In November 2023, actually around September, I went and I was meditating and I was just like, God, if I'm gonna go to India, let me know which day. And I was
Hmm.
flipping through this book that had chapters, like it had I was flipping through this book and I landed on the page that said um, October 25th.
Hmm.
And under October 25th, it said the sweetest day. So I began to plan my trip around October 25th. And I said, October 25th is the day I'm leaving to go to India. And I said, no matter what, I have to get there. So when I spent the whole summer, um, working as hard as I could, putting away as much money as I could, because money and my livelihood had always been like kind of like my Achilles heel, always been kind of like a struggle. It's like you make a whole bunch, then you lose a whole bunch, then you make a whole bunch, you know?
Yeah.
So basically, essentially, I told you it's gonna be a long story, but basically, I ended up saving as much money as I could. And then when I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. And I said, I went and applied for my visa. I applied for my visa to go to India. I was approved for my visa in less than 24 hours.
Hmm.
Then I go and I'm sharing this with all my family and friends as I'm going through every step. And I said, now I'm gonna put my down payment for yoga school. And I put that out there. Now I'm gonna buy my airplane ticket. And I bought the airplane ticket. So every step. And then all of my friends and family who witnessed me, compete in this yoga competition, and I lost in front of the whole world, they started sending me all this money. They said,
Oh,
okay, here's $100, here's $200, here's $300, here's
wow.
$500. They just started, and it was overwhelming the amount of support and love that I got from my family and my community.
Oh, sweet.
So whenever I was getting ready to leave on October 25th, and I had some last minute things I had to see. My friend calls me up and he says, Helmet, did you check your ticket? Make sure that you have everything, and I go to look at my ticket, and the plane was going to leave 2 or 3 hours later than what I originally thought.
Okay.
So if I would have gotten to the airport at that time, I would have missed my flight.
Hmm.
But fortunately, once I learned that, I sped up. I sped up so fast. And then I took my keys to my apartment and I tucked them under my door. And I said, I just prayed around my apartment and I said, I can't keep up with you anymore. But if I'm supposed to have you, you'll be here when I get back. And I
Hmm.
closed my door and I left. I
Hmm.
left everything completely. So I
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
So this is where Maharaji begins to enter the story, okay?
Ah.
I get to the airport and just in the amount of time, they are just about to leave to close the gate. But the person that was there, he helps me to print off my visa. I didn't know that I needed to print it.
Hmm.
So he prints off the visa, and then they arrange to walk me through the entire airport, hold my hand so that I get to the airplane so it doesn't leave me. And I didn't know until way later on. I didn't know until way, way, way later on that this was the Leela. This was a part of his. It gives me tears. It makes me want to cry. But it was the Leela. It was the help. It was
Him
it
making
was
sure.
yeah, it was the support that I needed in a because he knew that I was going to be all jumbled up and unorganized, and he knew that I was going to. So he was just like, let me just come and
Yeah.
support and make sure everything goes correctly. And so basically, I finally got through. I finally got through the airport, and uh, I get on the plane and I'm leaving en route to Delhi. So in the midway point, I went to Turkey first, and then from Turkey, I came down to Mumbai. Whenever I got to Mumbai, I was supposed to go from Mumbai to Delhi,
Mm.
but they didn't print my third boarding ticket.
Oh,
So as you know, in India, you can't just leave the airport.
yeah.
They don't let you leave the airport
Yeah.
once you're inside. So they had to spend, and I bought all this insurance. I bought all this insurance for my flight. It was totally taken away. And so basically, after some time of trying to get on the phone to get someone to help me, I spent all this time trying to get through immigration. I
Mm.
spent about 10 hours trying to get from Mumbai to fly from Mumbai to Delhi. Finally, I said, I'm just gonna buy a new damn ticket. I said, I'm just gonna buy a new ticket.
Yeah.
And I go to buy the ticket. And they had to check the cameras, finally could go out. And then I fly from Mumbai to Delhi and I get there at night. So I get there at night and I walk into my Airbnb where I was staying, and I knew nothing. I knew nothing about Diwali. I never knew about Diwali. So when I got there, there were lights up. The people in the living room, they were playing cards, they were having chai. Everything was so jolly and merry. And I was like, what is this? I said, why do I feel I said I said, why do I feel all of this beautiful heart energy of people
Yeah.
just loving each other and celebrating each other? And it makes me emotional as well because it'd been a long time since I actually felt the authenticity of a holiday.
Yeah.
And Diwali is one of the most uh Diwali is one of the most authentic holidays I've ever experienced. And so after that, I spent some days. I spent a few days just hanging out and experiencing Delhi.
Mm.
And whenever I was getting ready to leave, right, I had to take a flight from. I had already ordered a flight from Delhi to Dehradun because I
Mm.
had to get to Rishikesh.
Rishikesh. Mm.
I get to the airport at Delhi and I'm sitting there And I just knew I got there early. So I got there early, and my friend, he took me for breakfast and he showed me my first meal in India, which was chole bhature. And
Yeah.
I sit down and I said, "Oh, my flight is leaving in 2 hours, so I can have some chole bhature and relax."
Hmm.
I get up, I get up to go, and the flight took off without me. So now I leave out of the airport and I'm furious. So I take a tuk-tuk and I'm just like, I have got to figure out what's going on. Because I was like, now I've missed two flights. I missed two flights. And so I go back to the Airbnb, and my friend ultimately, helps me to book a travel with Red Bus.
Hmm.
On the Red Bus, there is a bus company called Lakshmi Holiday.
Hmm.
And so so my friend, he helps me book the bus and everything like that. And so I take another tuk-tuk to the metro stop. In Delhi, there's a big metro.
Hmm.
So the metro stop that it was sending me to, the tuk-tuk that it was sending me to was called Akshardham.
Hmm.
I didn't know anything about Akshardham. I didn't know anything about where I was going. And so I get to the bus stop. I get to Akshardham and I'm looking around and it's like this strip mall that's just it doesn't look very nice. I'm just sitting there. And the person told me this is where you stand to get the bus. And so I
Okay.
stood there and I look across the highway, and the bus I was supposed to get on was going in the other direction. So now at this point, so
Missed
now
a
at this
and a bus.
now I've missed two planes and a bus.
Yeah.
So this is where it happens. At this point, I get so mad. I get so mad and angry, and all the people that were around me were looking at me like I was a crazy man. And I was just angry. I was like, God, I was, just screaming out, like, God, why is this happening to me? God, help me. Why am I even here? Why did I spend all this time saving money and coming to India just to miss buses and flights and waste money
Yeah.
and then and even whenever I got to India, I was having kingfishers and I was just, what I mean? I was having a good time. I was just like, God, I want to get started with what I'm here to do. Like, just help me. Like, what is going on? So I have my bags with me and I just walk around kicking and screaming. And uh, I keep walking and I keep walking and I keep walking. And I was just like calling out to God and walking and walking. And then I walk around the corner in Delhi to this very small temple. Now, in India, there's a temple on every corner.
Yeah.
So whenever I saw this small temple, there was a man, a priest, Panditji. He was standing there and he kind of pulled me in. And I said, I just felt like I should go in there. So I walked in and he brought me into this temple that he named Old Hanuman Temple because he knew that I guess he knew that the Akshardham, that's the ancient one, is very famous. I never, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know how famous it was, but I guess many people knew about it. So he called his temple Old Hanuman Temple,
Oh.
and
Yeah.
so I walked in, and he immediately began to teach me about Neem Karoli Baba. And for the next 30 to 40 minutes, I just began to learn about Neem Karoli Baba. I began to learn about the miracles. I began to learn about, I began to learn about Hanuman Chalisa. And I couldn't hold on to everything because he was sharing so much information with me. He told me about the Bhagavad Gita. He told me about Lakshmi. He told me about stories of Krishna. He told me about Ramji. He just began to deeply tell me everything. He just began to tell me anything that he knew in his life about Sanatana Dharma, about about the gods, and especially Neem
Okay.
Karoli Baba. He began to share it with me. Um, and after a while, um, I was enjoying myself, but then I just kept kicking myself in the foot, being like, I need to get to Rishikesh. I have to get to yoga school. I don't want to be late. And he had even offered me some chai. I didn't, and it what's so interesting is I didn't accept the chai because in my mind I had this thing, um, we had taken so many shots before coming, and in my mind I was just like I didn't even want to. I wasn't at that point yet where I was just like kind of taking this and taking that and everything like that. And I kicked myself in the foot for that because later on, this is what ended up happening is that I told him, I was like, thank you so much for everything. I really have to get to Rishikesh. I really have to get to Rishikesh. And so he said, oh, okay, okay, okay. So he takes me outside and he brings me into the garden. He said, this is Tulsi. If you get sick while you're here, you just have a little bit Tulsi. Have some Tulsi. It will help you. And he wanted to show me all of the different plants in the garden. He said, this neem and this is these different things. And I said, oh, thank you. And I said, but I really, and now we're standing in the garden. I'm like, but I really got to get to Rishikesh. He said, and so he walks out to the street, and he grabs a tuk tuk, and he puts me in the back of the tuk-tuk and he starts talking to the driver, and he was like, this is my son. He was like, this is my son. I need you to take care of him. He has to get to Rishikesh. He has to get to yoga school. So you take care of him and take him directly to this. It was a mall that wasn't far away from Akshardham that I had to get to, that was going to be the next bus stop. And he said, you make sure you take my son there. And then at that point, while he's talking to the tuk-tuk driver, I'm just falling totally in love with him because I was like, why did this man just stop his whole day to support me? He stopped everything to share, why was I this important? And so um he starts to wave goodbye to me, and then he says, oh, no, 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 wait, 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 wait. And then he runs back in the garden, and then he comes back from the garden with 3 bananas. He said, this is for you, my son. If you get hungry on your journey to Rishikesh, just have these. You'll be fine. And so I left in the tuk-tuk. And then whenever the tuk-tuk got me to the mall, I stood in the place, I made sure that I was in the right place for the bus. And that bus, I was standing in the wrong place as well, and that bus took off as well.
Oh God.
So, so the last part is that at some point I had it in my mind just to go back to him. And even before I left the country, after 6 months, I had it in my mind to go back to him. But there was some force that compelled me not to go back there. Even though, and even now that I think about it, I want to go back there. And but what I'll say is that I went back to the Airbnb and I forced my friend. I said, you cannot leave my side until I get on this bus to Rishikesh. I said, I don't know how to navigate this place on my own. And so he accompanied me and drove me and made sure that I got on that bus. He made sure he looked at me get on that bus. And I got to Dehradun. Well, within the first 2 weeks of my yoga training, we do. we're up for sadhana around 4 o'clock in the morning, Brahma Murta, and we don't go to bed until around 7 in the evening, and just repeating this every day. And I was going to school for Kundalini yoga, so all of the yoga was very intense.
Mm.
And so at some point when I would sit in meditation, I no, every single time I would go into meditation, I would see that Panditji. I would see that Panditji in my third eye, just right up here. I would see him. I would see him. And then the first time that I got angry while I was in Rishikesh, I saw Neem Karoli Baba. And I've been seeing him ever since.
Right.
Um, so as you can see, even if there is someone, I keep pictures of Baba, with me. If there's ever anybody that I'm around and, that's been going through a tough time and, they could use some upliftment if I feel it deep, because I know that he, I know that he is everybody's guru, but, there's people. It's almost like he chooses you. It's,
I
it's,
was just going to ask you, why do you think he chose you? Yeah.
well, it's so interesting. At this point now in my experiences, there isn't a single morning or a single night that I go to bed without thinking about him. Um, it's it's such a subtle and beautiful and tender relationship. I It's indescribable. It's not many words that you can put towards it. Um, and there's and even in dreams, I just it's just it just doesn't sound real. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It wouldn't sound real if if I continued on talking. And some of the things you don't really, share or talk about, maybe. But what I will say is that I really don't know why he chose me. I really don't know why. Um, you know, but if I could take a guess why, um, is that I feel that Baba has a special place in his heart for the people in the world that are willing to step out on faith.
Mm.
And I think that what I didn't realize then, whenever I left to go to India, what I was doing, but what I was doing was an act of renunciation. What I was doing was an act of the sadhu, the spiritual, the authentic spiritual seeker. And I think that what I've learned about Maharaji and what I've learned about, even, many other gurus and teachers, and is that they are really, drawn, Babaji is very drawn to the authentic spiritual seeker. So if it's in your heart to really connect with God, then there's no better guide than
Hmm.
Sri Neem Karoli Baba Maharaj. And I just, our relationship is so. There's one story I would love to tell is whenever I was about my fifth month while I was in school. Um, I told you, oh yeah, when I so the guru is not physical, right? So the guru is is internal.
Yeah.
And even whenever, and I love my gurus and my teachers that I've studied with in physical body, even my guru, Vishnu Panigrahi,
Hmm.
um, whenever, he was doing Guru Diksha, there's a ceremony with all of the yoga students, and we were getting our names. I I didn't I didn't fully grasp everything about the culture and the history and everything like that. But whenever I was going into the ceremony, I remember talking with him about it before. I was just like, my heart is overflowing with love for Neem Karoli Baba, but I'm here with you. And he was like, oh, I understand. And he kind of smiled in my face, and so I went along with it. I went along with, going to the ceremony. But in my heart and in my mind, I still just could not stop thinking about Neem Karoli Baba. And it still intensified, over that time. And there was uh, I just began to travel and just reach out with different people, and I studied with, different, yogis and swamis, and and one one that I studied with, I went all the way out to a place called Bahrain, like not far away from Agra. Um, and whenever I was there, um, with Yogi Anup, and Yogi Anupji, I asked him this question. I was just like, so who has inspired you most over your whole life? And he said, Neem Karoli Baba. I said, oh my, and I didn't even tell him. I didn't
Yeah.
even tell him. Like, so then I understood. I said, you're, you're still weaving this tapestry of me being able to see how the people that you've placed in my experience are here, that are guiding me deeper into bhakti, guiding me deeper into that devotion. um and I will say that there was another Swami Bodhgiri. Swami Bodhgiri ji is a he's a Shiva devotee, and I met him while I was in Rishikesh, and I said, I really want to learn 108 Surya Namaskar ceremony. And he said, okay, great. We go to Almora tomorrow morning for 40 days. And I said, what do you mean? Like, where are we going to stay? What are we going to do? And he said, one question is enough. We go. And we left. And we
Yeah.
left. And we went to Almora. Well, that's a long, 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 long story. But basically, when I studied with that Swami, I learned so many things. And I got so happy with, progressing in my path with yoga. But he also made me so angry. He made me angry in ways that I've never been angry before. I can't explain it. It's like he gave so much to me, but he irritated me so much, and he pressed every single button to just oh. And even I was there for day 3, or I think it was my 3rd or 4th day while I was in Almora. I said, Kenchi is only 2 hours away. I have to leave. I have to leave. I have to go. But then I got this message internally that was like, no, you have to stay and you have to finish your sadhana. You have to do this. So I completed the sadhana with Swamiji. Then on the last day, while I was at Sun Temple in Almora. It's only 2 sun temples in, it's the 2 oldest sun temples in India, and one of the oldest ones is right in Almora, at the very top. And so that's where I did my sadhana. And on the last day, I had almost no money. I had almost no money. We had spent all our money. It was crazy. I gave Swamiji money. I was down to the last bit, right? Um, then, then my I have a friend that comes through and gives me about 10,000 rupees on that day. Then we're doing our last puja, whatever. We're doing the last puja. We're doing the last, we were doing fire ceremony, Agnihotra. We were doing, the last things, and took our pictures. And I was saying goodbye to the village because I was singing, doing kirtan with them. Then, as I was standing at the Sun Temple, the whole time I was there, monkeys never bothered me. They never bothered me. Then out of nowhere, there was monkeys, like a whole army of monkeys that were on the roof of Sun Temple. They were on the grounds. And some of them even came up to me and were aggressive with me. And they were angry towards me. And it never happened the entire time over my whole sadhana. And then I s- I sat there, I sat there for a second because at this point we've done so much hours and hours and hours and hours of yoga, meditation, 108 sun salutations every day, sun salutation, yoga, meditation, breathing, chanting. And I just sat there for a second. And when the monkeys were acting like that, I said, I felt it inside. I said, now it's time. I have to go to Kenjida. And the Swamiji that I was with, because he was a traveling monk, I told him I was going. And he said, oh, okay, I will go with you and everything. I said, Swamiji, no, I have to go alone. So I got in, they arranged my travel. They helped me to arrange my travel. And the Panditji at the temple in Almora, he helped me to arrange my travel. And I said goodbye to all the children. And I have pictures of this all on my Instagram and everything. And I said goodbye to all the children. And we got in the car and I left. And Almora was 2 hours away. And about 30 minutes away, we were traveling, but we couldn't find anywhere to eat properly. There was stuff that it just wasn't open. And when me and the driver, when we stopped to see if the place was open, it was closed. So the places for food, hadn't opened up yet. So finally, we were within 30 minutes of Kenchidam. And it was the moment when I was the most hungry. And 30 minutes from Kenchidam, they were serving prasad on the side of the road. And it was devotees of Neem Karoli Baba. Then I get there and I walk down the steps to Kenchidam and I come to his murti and I just cried. I just cried. And actually even before I got in to Kenchidam, I talked with Baba. I talked with Baba and I said, whatever reason I'm here for, I need to know as soon as I walk in. And when I walked in, to my right, they were doing kirtan and they were making music and they were singing Hare Krishna mantra. And I understood from that moment walking into Kenchidam that I'm supposed to sing. So a year after that happened, um, is when I learned, whenever I came back to America, I just kept feeling over and over and over again, I need to learn Hanuman Chalisa. And so I learned Hanuman Chalisa in April. And by May, no, I learned it I started learning it in January. I made it the only goal for 2025 was to learn Hanuman Chalisa. And I learned it, and by April, I have recorded it and shared it, you know. But yeah, since that point in 2023, to this very day, there um, there has been there has been there's nothing that I can there's no words that I can really say. Um, there's a lack of words about my relationship with Maharaji. Ultimately, it's all an experience, you know. I didn't Whenever I was in Kenchidam, I was in such a bliss that I I was such an indescribable thing that I didn't even get any pictures. I didn't even um it was very, it was just an out of body experience. But the only thing that I did manage to bring back to me from Kenchidam is actually right here. And this is Baba,
Oh,
if you can see.
yeah.
And I don't know what this says on top of it.
I can't read it. The light is reflecting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me I think that I have a like a blur on. I don't know
Yeah,
what. Okay, let me see.
it's blurred. It says J. J. Again, it's blurred. It's upside down now. Again.
Oh,
It's
it's
upside
upside.
down. Okay, huh. Jai Neem Karoli Maharaji.
Mama. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because his padukas are there, that footwear,
mhm.
his feet are there, no, inside.
Yeah, his feet are there.
Yeah.
So basically, this is the only thing this I got from Kenchidon,
Oh,
and I got from Kenchidon, and I brought it home. I take it with me everywhere. So anytime I travel, and and especially like whenever I was like, especially like over last year, whenever I would, go to roll out my yoga mat or anything like that, I would have him right beside me, So, and even, it's so interesting is after Panditji, here's another thing is after Panditji, he told me about Neem Karoli Baba. When I got to Dehradun, when I was at the mall, I bought the red booklet of Hanuman Chalisa, and I also brought Swami Rama. Swami Rama, he had a book called Living with the Himalayan Masters. And so when I was in yoga school, those were the two books that were in my bag.
okay.
But that bag, uh, the Hanuman Chalisa and Living with the Himalayan Masters were stolen. I left my bag somewhere, and those books were stolen out of my bag. And I was like, I wasn't even upset. I was just like, I hope it supports you. I hope it supports you.
Yeah.
But basically, the Neem Karoli Baba temple that I spent the majority of my time at was Neem Karoli's ashram in Vidbhadra. So it's not that far away
Mhm.
from um
Okay.
and it's actually a secret. It's such a to me it was like my secret place. But at Vidbhadra, that the this Neem Karoli Baba temple is so it's it's about 20 to 25 minutes outside of Rishikesh center, and people don't know about it. But whenever I was there, I found it, and I went there every week until I left. And one time whenever I was leaving, I went to the bookstore that was inside. I went to get prasad, and then I went to the bookstore that was inside to get one of the books that was I bought one of the books that was written about him. And so when I bought it, the person before I left, he said, "Oh, you need this as well." And he gave me um this Hanuman Chalisa. So as you can see, I don't know why it's so blurry, but as you can see, um, this is the little booklet that I learned Hanuman Chalisa from,
Oh,
and I keep it with me. So, um,
how lovely.
you know, every day. So yeah,
So
that-
such a beautiful, because I have interviewed I think now four people who are connected to Neem Karoli Baba from the US. One musician is was a disciple, not disciple, kind of devotee of Ramdas, and he
mm,
met him in 1970s. And he's
wow,
an architect and a musician, and he wants to bring his music to India this December.
wow, that's
I
amazing.
think, he chooses musicians. Everyone has music in them, or everyone who
Everybody
is
has,
selected has music. Music is the connection. I,
yeah,
I, I also have an ancestral connect to a composer whose Ishta Devata was Sri Ram. So
wow,
he has composed 2000 compositions on Sri Rama.
wow, that's
So I think
amazing.
it is music for sure that is connected.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
and I think that you know, even right now, right, since I released my own version of Hanuman Chalisa, and I have another version of Hanuman Chalisa that's I've been working on for the past few months as well now too. But now everything has switched up for me because I moved from Washington, D.C., and I got accepted and I got a scholarship to Full Sail University to study music production.
oh,
And now that I'm at the school, I was asking um, and being like, I know that I want to get to my highest timeline in music and I want to share beautiful healing music. And so I know in my heart that Neem Karoli Baba has cleared the way and is continually supporting me with this, bringing this vision into fruition. Um,
how
so
beautiful.
yeah, it's all His grace, and it's just it's so crazy to think like I'm not a huge crier, you know what I mean? I'm not a huge
No.
it takes a lot. It takes a lot for me. Um Even though I've cried I feel like I cried twice on this podcast.
Then I have to
But
tell you a story. I went to Lucknow in February. There's a Neem Karoli Baba temple there, shrine, and where he used to stay in Lucknow.
oh, in Lucknow.
Yeah. So the
Hmm.
priest there said, you're in your second stage of sadhana. You're always crying. Whenever you see, the deities, you see Hanuman, you see Ram, you're crying. So he said, now it depends on Maharaj Ji. For you to go to the next stage, when you stop crying, there will be only Ananda. We don't know how long that will take, but that's the next step.
Yeah.
Within a month, I stopped crying. So I think even that is sadhana, where you no longer cry, but you're not crying because you're sad. You're crying because you're connected. You just feel the connection.
Yeah, yeah, and I have, and there's been so many, it's been so many times like that now, where he has, he only has one recording of him saying Ram, 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 Ram. And I just remember coming home from my grandmother's house one night, and I just put my headphones on while I was on the train, and I put my headphones on, and I just closed my eyes, and I was listening to him, and it was just
Yeah,
the tears just began to fall, just
I can understand. Yeah.
so I'm at the point now to where it's like I'm well not at the I would say like where I am in my experience is so interesting to just talk into the air. We talk like he's like my grandfather, he's like my best
Mm.
friend. He's like uh he's like the person who would tell on you, but he's still gonna love you. He has a personality that's just fun, wrapped up in the deepest love. And And I love how no matter what mistake I have made or have continued to make in my life, he won't let me fall. He won't let me, um, he'll never be far away. He's closer. I feel him. He's closer than my breath. You know, even
Mm.
in this very moment, I feel that he is with us in this very moment.
For
Um,
sure.
creating this connection. So, okay, I'm going back into cheat. Is that cheat?
So now when you come to India, maybe we should start a Neem Karoli Baba club. We all come and meet in Kenchidam.
Oh, well, I'm actually, that's funny that you say that because I may be there. I will let you know, but my goal is to be there sooner than you know, I, I, it's really been pressing on me to get there. So, I would.
I haven't been there actually, but in my school trip, I had a school trip when I was around 15 years. We from South India, we were taken to Uttarakhand, we were taken to Nainital, we were taken to Ranikhet and Almora and Pindari Glacier on a trek. So I very clearly remember when the bus was leaving, I was looking back and thinking, will I ever see this beautiful land again? So I think
Hmm.
somewhere, at that point, he has in some way entered my soul. But I have to go back.
Oh yeah, I always have to.
Yeah,
Always have
so
to.
maybe the time is not yet. So for
Mhm.
sure. But thank you so much. And it's such a beautiful, again and again, it reaffirms my belief that he's there guiding. And the only purpose is to share our love across borders, boundaries, across consciousness. We're all one. Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I definitely I definitely believe that I don't even believe, but I don't even know. I know. I really like there's just such an inner knowingness um that he is all pervading, all omniscient, all seeing, knowing, feeling, experiencing.
Mm.
And I feel like that consciousness, right, is the one of the biggest gifts that I've experienced that he has you know, given to me recently is the possibility of merging with that, to know that inside as well too. Because the guru is a doorway, the guru is the path to merging with the cosmic consciousness, merging with the infinite. And so what I've come to realize is that his his goal is, you know, is really leading you into a deeper experience of the self. That's what that's what I really feel. And so he's just the best mentor to continue to usher you into the highest expression of who you are and who you're meant to be in this lifetime. And I couldn't be more grateful. I feel so much more closer and connected with all, this whole the fabric of this whole thing that I feel so deeply. And I the other thing that I've experienced you know from my meditation and being with Guruji is to make your life an offering. He says, love all, serve all, feed all. Um, and recently I have been experiencing that as making your entire life an offering. It's offer, you know what I mean? How can I really give, and understanding how to give from that place of just pure love,
Yeah.
not thinking about, what's in it for me, or not thinking it, not, resisting the temptation of any thought like that, but just because it's your job, just because it's the right thing to do, it's the and it feels yeah, it's the right thing to do, to
Yeah.
offer.
For
Yeah.
me, I used to feel very compelled that I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that. Now that pressure is taken off, I'm not doing anything different, but I just know that I am not doing it.
Mm.
It's being done through me. There's no
Ah.
pressure on me. I don't have to do anything. Let him do what
Mm.
he wants. It's his show.
That is, yeah, that's also it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's so beautiful. I'm not the doer, not the doer at all. It's all being
And
done
it's
through
so liberating. Otherwise, you feel, oh, I have to get into college. I have to give this interview. I have to get that interview. I have to get this published. Nothing. There's nothing now. There's nothing to do. You just be. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, just being.
Mm.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's so
I'm
beautiful.
so happy to connect with you. Let's be in touch, and I'll follow everything that you do and let his spirit guide all of us in the same direction.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so incredibly grateful for this experience of being with you,
Yeah, take
for
care.
being connected with Mataji and
Yeah.
Maharaji, my Parvati ji.
Take good care of yourself. Keep smiling, keep singing, and
Absolutely will.
we'll be in touch. Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Hey, Jai Sri Neem Karoli Maharaj.
Jai
Mwah.
Shri Neem Karoli Baba. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you.
All right, bye bye.
Bye bye.